Hello artists and welcome to Collage Level B. Let's get started. In front of me here I have my sketchbook. I'm going to get my name on the top. I'm going to circle collage. I'm going to put a B. I'm going to put a 1, a line, and a 2. Alright, let's see what we're learning today. It says, I can overlap shapes. I can use multiple shapes, use scissors correctly, and use the right amount of glue. All right, let's take a look at that. So in level A, we talked about trace shapers and how you can use those trace shapers to make great shapes. These are good for things like circles that are hard to draw. So I have a piece of paper here, and remember, I'm going to put the shape tracer on the side, not in the middle, so that other people can use this piece of paper again. I'm going to hold it down and trace the shape, and then I can put that back. I'm going to be working on cutting on my lines when I'm cutting. So focusing on what I'm doing, turning my paper with one hand, and I'm going to cut this off to make it easier to cut, and then turning my paper with one hand and cutting with the other hand. So remember that I need to go slow and try to stay on my lines. All right, so I have my circle. Remember, scraps that can't be used again, put them in the scrap bowl. And then big papers that can be used again, like someone else could use this, I'm going to put back on the paper tray for someone else to use. All right, now remember, to open my glue and use it correctly, I have to twist it up so that the white part's gone. Now, sometimes there's going to be dried glue on the top. If there is and it's not breathing when you've twisted it, then you might need to pick off the glue on top. But otherwise, it's breathing. Listen. All right. I remember that I can use tiny itsy bitsy baby dots of glue. On the outside, I put my glue in one hand and I hold down my paper with the other. I need to have a messy mat down as well. All right, and I do it on the outside so that my corners stay down. See, if I don't if I only put the glue in the middle, the corners won't stay down and then my shape will try to come off. But then I can also make shapes that I don't use the trace shapers for. So I'm going to make this really cool arch. And again, I'm not going in the middle of the paper. I went on the side so that other people can use it. And then I'm going to go ahead and get that cut out. I draw before I cut. Even if it's a really simple shape, it's really hard to just cut it out. Instead, I want you to draw, then cut out. Again, someone else could use this again. So I'm going to put this on the tray of paper. I'm just going to get that big little scrap off. But someone else could use this again. All right. Again, dot, 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 not a lot. I'm going to use my tiny itsy bitsy baby dots of glue, especially around the edges and the corners. And it's okay if the glue gets on the messy mat. And not on the table. So I'm going to get that glued down. Remember, if I get glue on my fingers, all I got to do is rub it off, and then I can wash my hands later when I'm all done. All right, let's talk about mini art. So in my mini art, we are going to be planning and cut, and then we're going to glue. Now, we're going to be talking about overlapping shapes. Overlapping shapes just means that you can put shapes on top of shapes. So, for my mini art, I could just make something random or abstract like this one here, but I could also do something I'm thinking of. I was thinking of a cityscape. So I've got some papers here that I've already cut out, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to start to get them glued down. Again, dot, dot, not a lot. And I'm going to start to think about how I can make this into different buildings. Now, when I think about buildings, I know that sometimes buildings are in front of other buildings. So that's where I can overlap. Again, right around the corners. Overlapping just means that I can put them on top. Now it looks like part of my building is hidden. I have a lot of those. Again, tiny itsy bitsy baby dots of glue. The other way I can overlap is by putting smaller papers on top of bigger papers. So there we go. I have another little building I'm going to put over here. And now there it is. Now I've also cut out some windows And I'm going to go ahead and put some tiny baby dots of glue right on there so that I can put windows on top of this building. And you can see right here that like I accidentally made a mistake with my pencil earlier, and I'm gonna put the glue on the side I made a mistake. I can hide my pencil marks by putting the glue on the pencil side. Again, I'm getting kind of messy here. It's kind of hard. So again, rub my fingers together. I'll go wash them later. You can see on this window here, I drew a funky window, but also I see I didn't cut it out quite all the way. It still looks really nice, but I'm gonna make sure I put the glue on the pencil side so that I can hide those. Now, when I'm doing my mini art, if I can't find a paper color that I need, like it's not on my tray like I want it to be, then I can go over to the bookshelf with all the collage papers. There's going to be all these bins of different colors. So I grabbed the green one, and inside there are small, medium, and large papers. If you can't find what you need at your table on the tray, then you can go to the bookshelf and you can pick one paper at a time, and you can grab the size you need. So if you need a really big shape, maybe you grab a large paper. If you need a smaller shape though, maybe you grab a smaller one. When you're done with that shape, you can put it back on the tray if it's big enough for someone to use again. But remember, if it's small, like this one, then put it in the scrap bowl. If you wouldn't use it again, somebody else probably won't use it either. You can put it in the scrap bowl, and we'll recycle those papers later. Happy creating!